What's up, Totem Pole Nation? Welcome back to Lambo and Matt's World of Sports. And the big news of today, what got us back onto the laptops today to record this, Bronny James has declared for the NBA draft. Now, he is still maintaining his college eligibility. He has until May 31st to make his decision on staying in college or staying at the draft. We'll get into more details later. Before that, make sure to visit totempolenation.com to get some gear and support the boys. Our socials are scrolling below if you wanted to send a message of what we should talk about next, or just give us a follow. Either way is cool. And as always, shout out to Sideline Sports Network. Let's get into the Bronny James news right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bronny James to the NBA, or he comes back. Now, is this shocking to you? No, because LeBron James has been saying for the past 2 years that he wants to play with his son. LeBron is the greatest of the generation. He's been saying it multiple times. Now, I don't know if this is an April Fool's joke or if LeBron's being serious. You know, LeBron kind of fools the media, doesn't really tell the full truth. Nothing against him, but he says he doesn't have much left in the tank and all this other stuff. I think he could play at least a good 3 more years. The question is whether it'll be with the Lakers due to, I think it's his final year of the contract. And I don't know. Bronny James, right? 1 year at USC, went through some heart problems, cardiac arrest. Thank God that he felt better. I think this is the greatest decision he's ever made. He has a chance to return to college. I think I said it the other day on Totem Pole Sports that if Bronny does return to college, I named 5 teams he could, transfer to. UConn, as far as championships, not having to, be the main guy. 2, Duke, ACC school. Everybody likes Duke. 3, what about Ohio State? New coach, building up. 4, UNC, just, with the loss of Armando Bacot and other talents. And 5, I'm not even sure. I just can name 4. So, at the end of the day, I can't count, and I had a long day, and I apologize. But Bronny James, I'm going to make a decision. Bronny James is going to go to the NBA, and he's going to be a top 5 pick. What are your thoughts on Bronny James to the NBA?
Did you say top 5?
Yes, top 5 pick.
Yeah, top 5 of the second round, maybe. Dude, I was on the same page with you for most of that, and then you just came out of left field with top 5. Bronny's good, right? He's good. He wasn't the main guy on this team, and maybe he does need to go somewhere next year to develop without being that guy, but I don't look at it like that at all. I felt like, number 1, I think he should go back for another year. Number 2, I think he needs to go to a school where he is going to be the focal point of the offense. He's already a good on-ball defender. That's like really what's keeping him in this NBA potential conversation, because it's damn sure not his offense. He is a good distributor as well, but he only played 19 minutes a game this past season. He averaged like 5 points, 3 boards, and 2 assists. And he's small. So, he's got to polish the offensive game. We know he's a good defender, but he's got to polish the offensive game. And do you do that in what would probably be the G League for a year? Because he's not going to be playing NBA minutes next year. There's no way. So if he were to get drafted late first or second round, he's going to be a 2-way guy. Most likely he's going to, have some time in the G League, and those guys down there are hungry. This isn't, playing in college where those guys are hungry too. Don't get me wrong, but from experience, the G League is just a bunch of dudes who are hungry. It's not, you see way more guys going off for big numbers, or you used to at least. Now everybody's dropping 70 in the league. But you see a lot more guys going crazy in the G League because they're going out there and just taking shots. They're like, I'm trying to get pulled back up. So I don't know if that's the best place for him to develop when he has the opportunity to go get coached by some of the best college coaches in the nation. I like the Ohio State thing. This was a down year for them, obviously. So getting him in there, he could really be a focal point and showcase who he is. He was like the number 4 option on that USC team when he was on the court, and he was only on the court for 19 minutes a game. So I don't think he showed anything that would make me think that he'd get picked anywhere good for this next year's or this upcoming draft. And then the statement in this article that was written about the pre-draft plan will be for James to meet with targeted teams for workouts and interviews before the May 31st deadline to stay in the draft and find out whether there's a potential developmental situation. Regardless of draft position, it would make sense. Rich Paul told ESPN, I don't value a young player getting into the lottery as much as I do getting him on the right team in the right developmental situation. So, yeah, they're not worried about him being like a first-round pick or an early first-round pick. Like, he's going to be a late first, early second, and they're just worried about getting the right fit for him. And if they can't find it, he'll go back to college. Seems to be the thing. But if it were up to me, which my opinion holds no weight in a situation about LeBron James Jr., I would stay in college for another year.
Oh, the 15 that popped in my head if he goes back. Kansas, I think would be a good fit. Bill Self, one of the top-notch coaches. They won a championship recently. I say Kansas up there. Also, according to this article, if he decides to come back, I can't pronounce the school, so please don't criticize me. The Quincy, I don't know how to pronounce that school. I read the word before, but
Duquesne.
Okay, Duquesne. All right, now I heard that before, but the way I read that, all right, Duquesne. All right, Duquesne is one of the top considerations for him just because of Drew Joyce was the head coach and a longtime friend of LeBron James. So it's basically all about the connections. So that's 6.
See, like what I was saying, if he goes to Duquesne, he's going to be one of the primary options on offense. Like that gives him an opportunity to actually put numbers up to where now, like if people talk about Bronny James going to the NBA right now, all we see are like the screenshots of his stat line and it's 4.8, 3.2, and 2.1 or something, like he's a lower guy on the bench role player at a USC. Duquesne could definitely be a school where he goes and he can average like 15 a game and get up to like 6 assists or something like that. Like that's the opportunity, but he's what, 6'2", 6'3". He's got to do some serious work. The NBA is different now. We're not seeing a lot of small guards anymore. And 6'2" being a small guard is insane to say, but that's the reality of the NBA in today's game. So if he's not a guy that can go out there and give you 30, not every night, but can go out there and do it, then I don't really know what place a 6'2" guard's going to have. Because, like, Pat Bev is, like, grandfathered in, right? Like, he's a culture guy, regardless of him being how tall he – probably a similar height. Regardless of that, he's a great on-ball defender, and he's a culture guy that people know because he's been in the league for 10 years or whatever. Like, that opportunity isn't really there anymore to be like, oh, yeah, here's a 6'2" guy that we can bring in to do what Pat Bev does. Like, you can't just do that. So I just feel like the roles for small guards are shrinking more and more. So he's going to have to turn up that offensive side a lot.
Well, we'll see what happens. But last thing. Should Bronny have it. I know LeBron said Bronny should have his own path, but should we not compare Bronny and LeBron because that's gonna be two different careers. Because I hate that. I hate when people compare. Like people were trying to had the expectations of what Doc Rivers was a coach in NBA, and then they try to have the expectations on his son. Austin Rivers has said that multiple times. Have his own path. How do you feel about that?
Bron was playing in NBA scrimmages when he was 16 years old. LeBron was the chosen one on Sports Illustrated when that used to be a big deal. His senior year of high school or junior year of high school. He was on nationally televised games, not because of who his dad was, because of him. It's a different level, man. And it's a shame that because he's so big of a star that that this is going to come with it. But if you look historically, there are very few children of professional athletes, really good professional athletes, that can follow in the footsteps and be even comparable. I mean, Jerry Rice's son is about to be like a 5th round receiver.
I didn't even know about that. He was on USC, but he wasn't even mentioned because it was Caleb Williams.
Yeah. And that's just one example. And then you can go to the other side of that and say well, here are examples of sons that do succeed. But if we think about every NBA player, NFL player that has a son that plays that sport, think about the ratio of how many make it and how many don't. I mean, that's already the 1% of the 1% that are in the pros. So then you think another, it's just the odds are already not in his favor. Then you add the extra pressure. You add that he's missing 7 inches in height from what his father could have given him, which is just drawing the short straw, literally. For him, when you look at Bryce, who's more of an NBA prospect, he's only a 3-star now, but he's a sophomore. So as the offers come in, Bryce will get bumped up. But I think that's the more NBA potential son than Bronny. And it's just unfortunate for Bronny because he is a Power 5 level player. He's just not to compare the two would be unfair. Is what I'll say. It's not fair.
All right. All you media outlets that think you're smart, please don't compare the fathers and the sons because it's a different generation. It's a different game of basketball now. We talk about 20 plus years later, but this is it for Lambeau Matchwater Sports. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And we thank you, South Sports Network, for the platform. A lot of sports going on this weekend. Don't forget about the women's game tonight. Don't forget about the men's game tomorrow. Don't forget about WrestleMania tomorrow and Sunday. See you at this Universal Championship. Acknowledge your tribal chief and acknowledge your final boss. Acknowledge him. Acknowledge him because Roman Reigns will beat Cody Rhodes on Sunday. There will be no finishing the story. And then The Rock and Roman Reigns will beat Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes. That's happening on night 1 and night 2. Your tribal chief is main eventing 2 nights of WrestleMania. So a lot of sports going on. We will be back on Monday to recap. No, wait. We'll be back on Tuesday, maybe Monday, because the championship game is on Monday. So we will be back on Tuesday to recap all of the games. But y'all have a great night. Please take care. We acknowledge your tribal chief.